change the landscape of the Middle East. But what lies ahead? You see, as the dust begins to settle after the conflict between Israel and Hamas, the questions loom larger than ever. What will it take for recovery? How will the balance of power shift? And who will emerge as the voices of peace? Joining us to discuss that and so much more is Mr. Harley Lippman, foreign policy expert back here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, Harley. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to see you as well.
Harley, let's talk about a developing story. We know that Israel now claiming the military that they have killed a Hezbollah operative in southern Lebanon, a region that has witnessed several attacks despite the ceasefire between Israel and the Iran-backed group. What's the latest on this?
Well, the latest is that Israeli policy is now different. That while Hezbollah has been severely weakened like Iran, they're trying to come back. They're rearming, rebuilding, retraining. And Israel is trying to make sure that the win they had lasts and is successful. So they have to keep attacking Hezbollah, among other enemies, to make sure that Israel keeps the victory that they achieved in the recent war.
Harley, what would you say happens to be the most pressing challenges facing both the Israelis and Palestinians in the immediate aftermath of the war?
I think for the Palestinians, it's to look in the mirror and decide what's more important, to govern and fulfill your destiny and try to live at peace with your neighbor, or is your priority to destroy Israel? They really have to do some soul searching and make sure that they know what they want. Because, you know, we speak about Palestinian nation, but in the eyes of many Palestinians, that's a replacement for Israel. And that obviously is unacceptable to Israelis and to many nations around the world. So I think that's the reckoning that the Palestinians have to go through. For Israel, I think that, you know, they want the peace to last. They're incredibly relieved they have the hostages back, even though there are still 2 more dead bodies to get back. They see Israel as Israelis see their country as stronger than ever, as the rising tiger in the region. And militarily, it is certainly a superpower in the region now.
Yeah, you know, it's quite interesting, and some would even argue that there happens to be a humanitarian crisis that continues to deepen, if you will. What urgent measures really need to be taken in order to address the needs of civilians affected by the conflict?
Well, when you say humanitarian crisis, I guess you must mean in Gaza is what
that
you're
is correct, sir.
referring to.
Yes, sir.
So I think that now that the fighting has stopped, I think the goal, number one, is to make sure that Hamas doesn't hijack the food, because that's been the biggest problem. They've been so successful at fooling the world. You know, finally, the United Nations themselves admitted that over 85% of their food deliveries were hijacked by Hamas terrorists and their supporters. So everybody was blaming Israel, but Hamas was hijacking the food because they were running out of money. And this was the biggest revenue producer, as they would charge exorbitant prices for this food to Gaza civilians, exploiting their own people. And they would, of course, prioritize their own fighters while they were starving Israeli hostages. So it was a terrible story, but that is over now. So I don't see a humanitarian crisis in that region the way it was before. I think it's, without fighting, I think things are going to go pretty well in terms of food supplies.
Yeah, and with that being said, I'm curious, how significant are grassroots peace initiatives among civilians on both sides?
Well, I think they're very significant. I would say that on the Israeli side, the Israelis who were attacked on October 7th were the most pro-Palestinians Israelis in Israeli society. So when you say both sides, again, it sounds like a moral equivalent. You know, I would say there was bad guys and good guys. The Israelis were just trying to live at peace with their neighbor. Remember, Israel withdrew from Gaza over 15 years ago. So Israel has no interest in interfering in we'll call it a Palestinian nation, even though it didn't have complete full rights. I think that from the Palestinian side, I think that it's very valuable to nurture opposition to Hamas because it's not sustainable having Hamas, and that goes to a deeper issue about disarming. That was one of the 20 points of the peace plan that Trump put forward, and it appears that the West is losing interest in forcing the disarmament of Hamas. And if you don't disarm Hamas, here are the consequences. A, no Arab nation that's going to work on reconstruction will put money or soldiers into Gaza as long as Hamas has weapons. I can tell you that for sure. They will not get in the middle of that. So Gaza is going to remain in misery. And it also means the war will be prolonged because Israel, under Bibi Netanyahu, has just stated categorically that he will disarm Hamas one way or another. If the United States and the West doesn't do it, or Arab nations don't do it, Israel will do it. So it's essential that everybody follows through on the terms of the peace plan and doesn't get weak. The only way you're going to have peace for the Palestinians and Israelis is for Hamas to be disarmed, and whoever takes over in Gaza really cares about the Palestinians and wants to live at peace with their neighbor Israel. That's the only avenue for a good outcome.
I have said it, and I'll say it again. I think we can all agree that we simply want peace within that region. Yet again, we've been speaking with Mr. Harley Lippman, foreign policy expert, joining us right here on the Live Zone. We truly appreciate your time, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. On the flip side of that break, we're talking